What is going on, my friends? So today's video we're diving into my favorite biofeedback marker, that is heart rate variability. And what's so interesting about heart rate variability is that it basically gives us an overview of how our central nervous system is feeling. But before we dive into that, we're going to identify a little bit more about heart rate variability and what it is. So I'm sure that most of you guys know what heart rate is, and that is simply how often our heart is beating, and obviously that's going to be lower if we're lying down, and it's going to be way higher when we're outside running. And what heart rate variability does is that it's simply measuring the difference between each and subsequent heartbeat. So for example, between one of my heartbeats right now, there might be 900 milliseconds, and between that one and the next one it could be 1300 milliseconds. So that's obviously a pretty profound difference, and HRV is simply tracking these changes and how hard the heart is beating. And like I said, this gives us a great overview of how our central nervous system is feeling. And the central nervous system is basically made up of the rest and digestion part and the flight or fight part. And when we're in homeostasis, we're right here in between the two. So this part is called the parasympathetic nervous system, and this part is called the sympathetic nervous system. And if we're too extended in either direction, that means that there's something going on with our body. It's trying to over-recover or trying to release stress chemicals from some events. So let's say that I've been sleeping pretty poorly, and my training load has been pretty hard, so I might be overextended to the rest and digestion part of the central nervous system, simply because my body's trying to recover from all the stress and limited recharging that has been elicited by my lack of sleep. So it's just trying its best to recover, and if I'm staying here for too long, let's say I keep up the training volume, I don't get adequate sleep, what's likely is going to happen is I'm going to bounce way over here and get overextended on the flight or fight instead. And that's just the body's not being able to recover, so it's going to start release stress chemicals into the body, like adrenaline and cortisol. So now we have the problem that the other central nervous system is overextended. And like I said, we want to be right here in homeostasis, because that's what our body loves doing. That's when our sleep is good. That's when we're able to recover from our training. And what heart rate variability is going to give us is basically going to give us a number. And I will be getting into many different ways to track HRV later in the video, but for right now, I'm just going to share my HRV number from this morning. So it was exactly 70. My heart rate variability score was exactly 70, and that's pretty standard for me. My usual heart rate variability range is usually from 75 to 65, and the number, if we get a low or high number, that doesn't tell us very much, and a low or high score isn't necessarily good or bad, but what's very helpful about the number is that we can track what's going on in the long-term trend. So for example, if I notice that my heart rate variability is trending down, it likely means that I'm not being able to recover from my training volume. And if it's going way up, it likely means that I am able to recover from my training volume, and that my central nervous system is getting stronger and healthier. So key takeaway is that the number is not that important, but the trends are very interesting. And if you guys get into measuring heart rate variability, or that you're doing it right now, you likely know that the biggest influencers are sleep, alcohol, and training. And especially sleep, because when we have a bad night of sleep, our heart rate variability usually goes way down. And what's so powerful about all of this is that, like I said, it gives us an overview of our central nervous system, and we can just combine it with different feedback markers. So for example, me personally, I gave up alcohol 2 months after I started measuring HRV, because I noticed what the alcohol was doing to my body, and it wasn't pleasant. So combining that with the fact that I'm a person that has a hard time with moderation and consuming alcohol in moderation, it was just a no-brainer for me to cut out alcohol. So, and like I said, when we're having bad sleep and we're consuming alcohol, so alcohol has a negative impact on our sleep. We get blocked from being able to get into REM sleep, and my HRV was just like crashing down. It was actually just as bad some days that I've been drinking as when I had 40 degree fever. So that speaks to the negative impact alcohol has on our sleep and well-being. And like I said, this was just a no-brainer for me, and everyone is going to be different. And I know there's a lot of you guys that would never give up alcohol, and I certainly thought so in the past, but once I started measuring this, it was a complete no-brainer for me. But anyways, back to heart rate variability, and like I said, the number is not that important, but it's mainly about the trends and noticing what's going on with our central nervous system. And my favorite way to track HRV is simply using my heart rate monitor. So I got one of these from Polar. It's a chest strap, extremely simple to use. I just put it on like this. So I put on this chest strap every morning, and then I grab my phone and I start an application that's called Elite HRV, and they basically have a 2-minute test that measures my it's connected to this monitor via Bluetooth, so it's checking my heart rate and my heart rate variability. And like I said, it's a 2-minute test, and then I get my heart rate variability score, my heart rate score, and I notice where I am on this scale. So if I would be overextended to the rest and digestion, I would be right here. If I was in homeostasis, I would be right there. So that's very interesting, because when we combine everything, we can just notice what's going on. So what I'm doing as well is that I'm adding my training load, I'm adding my sleep, how long I slept, what kind of quality it was, and combining this with some subjective feelings, like if I'm feeling tired, if I'm feeling sore, and all of this just gives us a good overview of what's going on. So for example, if I notice that my heart rate variability is going way down, it likely means that I have to get better with my sleep or my nutrition, so I can start getting it back up again, or at least to even. So like I said, there's many different ways to do it. My favorite way is checking with the chest strap and the heart rate variability. That's the most affordable options for people, but I got this Polar watch a couple of months ago. It also measures my heart rate variability while I'm sleeping. I know that all of you guys that have Apple Watches, you can use that to track your heart rate variability. Not sure if Fitbit has it, to be honest, but yeah, the belt is simply going to be the most affordable one. And it's mainly just getting started and playing around, because when you guys start measuring this, you get so much awareness regarding how your training and nutrition affects your central nervous system, which is incredible, and we can use that information to train better, recover better, perform better, all of that good stuff. So hope this helps, and take care.